Hey guys, it's Sue here and welcome to the third day of summer specials. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe we're already halfway through. But indeed, here we are, and for today's video, I'm going to be reviewing some of the long-lasting bases that will help us power through summer. Before we get started, I also would like to mention that there actually hasn't been a lot of releases of products that are supposed to be long-lasting, that have good longevity. And I do think this is partly because, like I said, the weather isn't that hot yet. I mean, we're definitely getting there, but it's not that hot as it used to be last year. So I think a lot of brands are pushing back the release dates for these products, and hence I didn't have a lot of selection or products to play around with. So in today's video, you're definitely going to be seeing some old products that I've definitely shown you guys before, but I also think that's a good thing, right? Because you can go back to your old products and use them up, because we gotta splurge responsibly, girl. Now before we get started, let me tell you guys my skin type just in case you're new to my channel. I do have combination dry skin now, but in the summer I do sweat a lot because my face does get heated up very easily. So in the summer I do kind of associate myself as having oily and sweaty skin with a lot of sebums. And also, while I was testing all of these products out, mind you, I did not use any powder. I didn't set it with powder. I didn't use any long-lasting base products. So this review is literally just based on the foundations themselves. So obviously if you use a powder on top, or if you use a primer, that's really going to help you elongate the longevity, so bear that in mind. Now let's get started. First, I'm going to start off with cushions, and you guys can probably guess what is my go-to cushion for the summer. It is indeed the Moonshot Micro Setting Fit Cushion, and yes, this is a new one, guys. I got myself a backup recently and I'm super happy with it. Now, I'm a little careful to mention this one with what's going on with YG and all that, so I'm going to keep it really short. Just to give you guys a really quick summary, what this cushion does is that it basically fixates itself on top of your skin so that it kind of hardens a layer on top. Hence, it is very strong against the sweat and sebum. And of course, if you use a powder on top, it's going to do an even more excellent job in staying put. And also, one of the things that I was really impressed about is that most of the times I found that, matte cushions, when you retouch, it looks really messy, but this one didn't do that at all. So I was just super impressed with the formula, and that's all I'm gonna say for now. Another cushion that I've been enjoying recently is the Dr. Jart Dermakeup Fit Cushion. Now I gotta say, I don't love it as the Moonshot cushion, but it's still impressive. This was actually named as the #1 cushion in the section of pull yourself together, Sue. So this was actually named as the #1 cushion that takes control of your sebum the most by the program Breathable, which is a beauty program off of Get It Beauty. So this is supposed to do excellent for your sebum, meaning that it really does soak up the sebum, so it leaves your skin looking less oily, less shiny and all that. So I've been testing it out, and I gotta say I was pretty impressed. I wasn't really expecting much from this cushion, to be honest, but I was impressed because I think it really did a great job in longevity. Now the formula itself is pretty light as well, and inside you have this pink cross, that is calamine. And because of this calamine, it has a cooling effect, it also has calming effect, it also has toning up effect. It doesn't have as much coverage. I guess it has a sheer to medium coverage, but I like it because it's light, it has great longevity, and it really does keep my sebum in check. So I thought this was a pretty decent cushion to reach out for, especially on those days when I just want a slight bit of coverage and I don't want to go all full cakey ass makeup. And so I think this is also another great option to check out. Moving on to foundations. Now the first foundation I have is indeed the Shu Uemura Unlimited Foundation. Wow, that foundation really caused a hype when it first came out. I think back a couple of months ago, like a month ago, everyone was talking about it. So I definitely had to check it out myself because people said that it had the best longevity ever. So I did get my hands on it, by the way, which was pretty expensive. And I did try it out, and I gotta say I was also very impressed, which is saying a lot because I did have very high expectations. Now, one of the things I've noticed about that foundation is that it reminded me a lot of the banila covericious foundation, which I also have right now, but it is a lot more thinner, it is a lot more elegant, and it's much more finely milled than the banila foundation. It gives you a decent amount of coverage, you can definitely build it up. It gives you a great longevity, but it's still light. So So I think that's why a lot of people love using foundation. If you don't mind investing a couple of bucks to spend on your foundation that will last you a very long time, I actually do recommend it. So like I mentioned with the banila covericious Power Fit foundation, the thing about this foundation is that it mingles very well with your sebum and sweat. It mixes very well so that as time goes by and as you sweat more and more, your skin looks even more glowing and more prettier. Of course, if you're not into that stuff, you're gonna hate it, but I really did appreciate that it didn't get messy. You know, sometimes with the really thick foundations, after all the sweat and sebum, it gets really messy at the end of the day and you're just like, I'm done for the day. But this wasn't like that at all. This one, you definitely do feel a little bit of the cakiness compared to the Shu Uemura one. And I feel like this one has a lot more coverage than the Shu Uemura one. I'd say with the Shu Uemura one, it has like sheer to medium, whereas the banila co has medium to full. You can definitely build this up, yeah. Now, if you're looking for a foundation that is just not here to play with the sweat and sebum, that is just going to stay strong against all that, then I highly recommend the Lancome Idole Ultra Wear. I mentioned this last year, and no, this is definitely not a K-beauty brand. But wow, this has got to be the most powdery, the most velvety foundation, liquid foundations I ever used. And nothing has come close to this foundation. And when I used this foundation last year, I didn't even feel the need to powder my foundation, like powder my face afterwards, which is something that I usually do when I use a lot of the base products. So that's how matte this is, and thus this will also last you a very good amount of time. It's definitely one of my go-to foundations in the summer, and of course because it's Lancome, it's also a bit pricey, but I definitely do think it's worth the buck. And that's saying a lot coming from me because you guys know I love cost-effective, affordable products. I guess this has a bit of a sheer medium coverage. You can also build this up to a certain extent. And also it has a very lightweight, airy formula. So it's super light, nothing cakey at all. So this is another wonderful foundation that I highly recommend as well. Last but definitely not least is the Hanyul Cover Foundations. And they recently renewed it, which I wasn't aware of until later, so I kept testing it out with their old version. So I'm just gonna give you guys a review comparison of these two. Now the Hanyul Foundation, Cover Foundation, it's a product that's pretty old. It's been out for quite some time, and I've been always meaning to try it because my dear friend Lamong, she was like, 언니, you really have to try this foundation. It's like really good. If you have oily skin, you need coverage. And I was like, yeah, I'll just try it out later. And I regret not listening to her earlier. This is a really good foundation. It does pretty great against the sweat and sebum. And the thing I like the most about this foundation is that once you have it on, even though you can tell you have makeup on, but it leaves such a pristine finish, like a very clean slate. Now, like I said, they just recently came out with this renewed version. They renewed the packaging and the formula, and they've increased the longevity of the formula. And like I said, guys, I was testing both of them out, and I noticed that this one does feel a bit more powdery compared to the original version. To be fair, I haven't been testing this out as much as this one, so I'll definitely keep you guys updated on my Instagram after I use this for a longer time. Because I think they've increased the longevity, they've increased more powder in it, and thus that's why this one feels a bit more mattifying than this one. But I think so far so good. If you were wanting to try these out, I definitely would say go for it. I regret not trying these out earlier. Yeah, they also have great coverage. The formula I wouldn't say is the lightest. The formula does have a bit of weight, but nonetheless, great foundations. And I'll definitely keep you guys posted about this one. So there you have it. I've shown you guys some of the base products that I think are great for summer. I will definitely do an update around maybe August or at the end of July, because I think by then a lot of the brands would have released more products that are long lasting. Like I said, I think they're pushing back the dates a little bit. But that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to press like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Ciao!